Hello, welcome back. So this will be the part 2 of a part 4 series. Thank you and welcome to my channel, to Sincerely Surayak. My name is Surayak, aka Samantha. And yeah, so I'm just basically going to shoot you to the video because I've snipped off different parts, but yeah, stay tuned. Probably when I was like about 14 years old, I remember I hung out with like a lot of guys, and they invited me to like a cipher, and it was like a bunch of people smoking weed or whatever. And I remember getting tired and like feeling like somebody had laced it. So I said to one of my friends, I was like, hey, like I'm getting sleepy. Can you watch me? Like I'm a little nervous. I went to bed like cuddled up by the wall, and when I woke up, my legs were spread open. My pants looked like they had been just shoved up. They weren't even buttoned. I had jeans on. My shirt was all messy. And I remember like laying back, like almost like that, sprawled out like somebody, whatever. And when I sat up, the pain that was in my hips was unreal. And I remember feeling like somebody had put their whole body weight on my hips, and that's how painful it was. And there it clicked in my head. I had gotten raped and while I was unconscious. And to be honest with you, maybe I wasn't ready to face it. Maybe I didn't want to face it. I have no idea. But I remember zipping up my pants and thinking to myself, I could either be the victim or pretend this never happened. And I decided to pretend it never happened. And now, mind you, where the kid lived was on the top of the hill where the bottom of the hill I lived. So I walked home for like 20-30 minutes with my hips in brutal pain. And I just kept telling myself, it never happened. It never happened. It never happened. So that goes to show you how I processed trauma. And it never did. It never did. And I shoved it in the corner somewhere. And then this kid got worse and did more stuff and was more erratic with his behavior. When I started to finish my freshman year of high school, my mom had this epiphany that I have one more kid. And honestly, from an outside perspective, something snapped her out of it. I had no idea what it was. Now I know it was God. At the time, I had no idea. My mom didn't really talk about God a lot. Like if I ever had questions when I was like little, she would tell us Bible stories, like where do people come from, Adam and Eve, or where does language come from? She would talk about the Tower of Babel, little stuff like that. But it wasn't like we didn't go to church, we didn't practice it, at least from my perspective and my memory. My mom, I believe, did it with my eldest 2 sisters. However, with me, that wasn't the case. So I didn't really grow up with any religion, any belief around me for as long as I can remember. I was atheist. And then fast forward, I'm 14, my mom pops up to this epiphany, says, let's move to the country, because we had moved to the city. Let's move to the country. So I go from people in my face 24/7. I'm addicted to weed. I'm addicted to sex. I'm addicted to people pleasing and all this other stuff, and chaotic and chaos and a lot of cortisol. And we moved to the country in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, my God. And it was rough because my mom went, like I said, from full-time, independent, working boss girl to she's handicapped now. And she's been that way since I'm 12. And so it was a little rough of a transition, watching my mom's physical health decline, watching her go from being able to stand on her own to needing a walker and having to sit all the time. And even her body started to change physically. She couldn't stand up straight. She was hunched over, like crippled. And it was really, really difficult having a mom that needed so much care. And because when we moved to the South, I started to get homeschooled. So now I have full-time around my mom and also full-time care. So it's like, whatever. And then my parents apparently fell in love again. They got together. That was like a whole big thing that I couldn't have predicted any of that. And it was rough, mainly because even though my mom had snapped out of it, she still had a lot of emotional issues. When she got angry, she was very angry. And honestly, like I said, when she got out of the accident, she was different. She was violent. Like if she was angry, just in her head, it was like she was going to beat discipline into you. And like there were times where I remember where my mom would hit me, and it would start like, I understand, I warranted this whooping. But then it started turning into like, all right, I feel like you're just hitting me to hit me. Like it's cruel. And I remember like this kid coming, always sticking around me. My mom hated him around me. And I remember her coming and like seeing it, and just to prove a point to him, starts beating the crap out of me right outside of the school, but then continues to drive away and continue to hit me. I remember hating when she hit my face. Don't hit me. That's the biggest thing I would say. Don't hit my face. Don't hit my face. Don't hit my face. Because I can hide any bruise, not on my face. So I would tell her, don't hit my face. I don't want to talk about what I go through at home, and I don't want anybody at school to know or make fun. So I just didn't want it. And I remember one time her hitting me, busted my lip, and I covered my face. And she always used to do this thing where she was like, oh, you're gonna cover it? Boom, I'm gonna get you somewhere else. Balled up her fist and punched me in the stomach. I'm like, That's too much. But it was frequent with stuff like that. Frequent, where she would use ladles or shoes or whips, or not whips like the actual whip, but like a cord if it was round, or what she used, a hanger, a belt, anything was a weapon, like freaking Mortal Kombat type of stuff. And granted, I get it. You got to discipline your kid. Don't spare them with a rod, but like, don't discipline in anger, because you are now on the side of abuse, because you're beating too long, you're beating too hard, and where's the principle at this point? And I feel like there was a lot of that. So now, mind you, my mom is like that. We moved to the country, and it created this complex in me of so much anger, because in one side of me, I need to take care of my mom because she can't take care of herself, and she was gaining independence, but not really, not in the beginning, because she was still learning how to be independent. And then the other side, I'm so angry with my mom because she keeps hitting me, and all this over the top discipline. And my mom also had a lot of fear that we were going to go to a school around here, and I was gonna get bullied again. So she was like, oh no, we're not doing all that. So I was like, all right, like, so now I'm full-time with both my mom. Like I said, my parents fell in love again, so my parents move in together. My dad loses his job from some BS with that. So now I'm full-time both of my parents. My mom still dealing with her mental health issues, still pretty violent, still pretty whatever. Then you have my dad. My dad's still aggressive, even though he didn't beat my mom anymore. There's a lot of times where it came close. Very verbally abusive, psychologically abusive. He was emotionally always messing with her. There was a lot of financial power plays of abuse there. And it was a lot. And for a while, it felt like daddy hurts mommy. Mommy can't do anything to hurt daddy, so mommy hurts me. And that cycle. And it didn't help that I was acting out, but I always would tell my mom, you're trying to beat something into me, but you're only making it worse. You're creating more and more rebellion. I'm not going to become compliant with you beating me. I'm going to become more rebellious. I think she thought that, like how you tame a horse, you break the horse to tame it, or like an elephant when you train them in the circus. I don't know what she thought, but I ain't it. It ain't me. I'm not the one. I'm really not the one. I've never been the one. If anything, that just made more anger, more rebellion, more whatever. And I remember me and my mom getting into it one of the times and just being like, never touch me again. Like, and I got aggressive back and violent back, and I had like hurt her. And she never hit me after that. But there was still a lot of power and control in the home, a lot of domestic violence in the sense of psychological and emotional and verbal. Verbal was a big one. And I feel like during that time, my parents really kind of beat this idea that I was dramatic and sensitive, and I'm overreacting, and I don't know what I'm talking about. And I remember for a long time, it was because of my age. You're only 12 years old. You're only this. You don't know what, like, basically my feelings weren't valid because I'm young. I don't know what I'm talking about, whatever. My feelings weren't valid. What I had to say, I didn't know anything. Or my dad used to say, you think you can teach me? You don't know nothing. Words right there. And so I was like, okay, well, you can't win. You have your mom constantly telling you that you're dramatic, your emotions, basically this mantra of I'm dramatic, I'm sensitive, my emotions are too much, I'm overreacting. And then you have your dad. My mom's attacking my heart. My dad's attacking my brain. I don't know what I'm talking about. What can I teach him? I don't know anything. Like, what would I know? And it kind of combined it somewhere in between to become a super attack on my perception and my mind. So now I started to question myself. Am I crazy for feeling what I'm feeling? Am I seeing the situations? Like, my sanity and my perception were the biggest things that were attacked on me. And now, mind you, I'm not, at the time, God didn't mean anything to me. I was atheist for as long as I can remember. And I remember having a lot of thoughts that were like, well, if God's so good, why do bad things happen? Like, this God, can just zap all the bad things out of the world. But obviously he's not, what he says he is. And it was a big thing. I remember my mom tried to take us to church, and she took us to a 7-day Adventist church. I remember walking in, felt like a demon walking in there. Felt like a hot rod in my throat. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I was hot. I was dizzy. Every time they said hallelujah, hallelujah, or Jesus' name, I was just like, you ever see the movies where like a bomb goes off and it's like that high pitch, like whatever? That's how it felt. And it was rough. But it was traumatic for me going through it, because at the time I'm not thinking, oh, there's a demon that needs to get delivered. I'm thinking, this environment is causing me a lot of anguish and pain. So now, mind you, we go home. My mom's super excited. And I'm like, are you crazy? Are you crazy? You talk about good experience. That was the worst. I'm never going back there. I start freaking out. I start having a panic attack. Now, mind you, I had already tried, at this point of my life, I was suicidal from the age 11. So now I'm 14, almost 15 years old. So about 4 or 5 years I've been suicidal. 4 or 5 years they called it manic depression at the time. Now they call it bipolar. But I was manic depression. I had a lot of anger issues. I was a very emotionally disturbed child. And granted, trauma didn't help. Parents didn't help. Nothing helped. The demons, the generational, the bloodline didn't help. Satan didn't help. So I'm going through it. I am really going through it. And I remember I had these old coping mechanisms where I would like knock on the wall to see where the beam was. Because I don't know how I figured it out. Maybe I used to cut myself. I used to cut my wrists, and I used to cut my hips and my ankles. And I started to realize that it would alleviate the emotional pain. So my brain says, okay, pain equals freedom, somehow. And granted, I understand that's just the enemy easing up so you can cut yourself. Like the guy in Mark with Legion, like he would cut himself just to restrain and like whatever, but it just makes the demon stronger. And so I didn't know that. I'm 14, 15 years old. God is not a thing in my life. I don't know any of the things that I know now. And all I know is pain takes down the hot air balloon in my head, the pressure that feels like it's just about to explode, that causes me to feel so panicky, anxious, angry, whatever. And so I remember my mom saying all this. I start having a panic attack. My panic attack is like, I need to just bash my head into the wall and this shit will calm down. So I start knocking on the thing, knock, 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 knock. My mom already knows. My mom takes me, pins me down, trying to calm me down. I'm like not calming down, whatever. And I like broke free, like, and tried to like get my mom off me. And I remember my dad coming into the room. And now at the time I used to think my parents were super dramatic, but here's the kicker. My mom's pinning me down, trying to get me to calm down. My dad comes in the room. My dad pins me down and starts going, "What's your name? Tell me your name. You need to tell me your name. Tell me your name." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? What's my name? Like, get off me." He put the cross here. And then I remember getting so angry and pushed him across the room. And it was like multiple voices. It honestly sounded like the zombie, like multiple voices saying, "Get off of me." That's when I got super scared and I started freaking out. And I started realizing they're not being dramatic. They're seeing something I'm not seeing. So my dad comes back. My dad was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" Like he's about to fight me. And I still can't get this look out of my head. My mom looked at my dad and it was almost like a look to say, "Snap out of it. We've seen this before." And so my dad like snaps out of it. He comes back over, pins me down, still saying that power of Christ compels you. Again, I'm thinking dramatic, whatever, but I'm still getting scared because I'm hearing these voices. The multiple voices came out of my mouth, shaking me out. The power of Christ compels you. He puts the cross again. That's when my body goes from flat to up. Shaking, white film, yellowish film. This yellowish film balls up and shoots into my belly. And as it shoots into my belly, I see this black, dark, like the tail of Casper come out of my belly button, and the body of like a super muscular guy, and the arms are all muscular, but the hands turned into like talons and claws, and the upper body it almost looked like Pharaoh, like the Pharaoh demon dog. I don't know what you call him. Anubis. Oh, Anubis. Anyway, so demon dog looking thing, and the jaw almost reminded me of a snake, of how it detached, and the fangs and everything, and the head was like that. I don't know, what do you want to call them, Doberman? I don't know. And Pharaoh demon dog, maybe look it up. And the ones that the Egyptians had, and the ears were spiky. And I remember the eyes. It was like a black that couldn't get darker, but they glowed red. It was a glow of red in the base of them, but it was like shaded by this black that just had no end. And I remember being like, holy crap, that I must be dreaming. This can't be real. I'm freaking out. So many different things, like what the hell, so many things. And I remember being like freaking out, like I'm shaking. And now mind you, my dad, power of Christ compels you, Catholic, whatever. My mom starts praying, and all I can hear is her praying in the name of Jesus. And all these thoughts fill my head, like, "Shut the fuck up, you stupid bitch. Shut the fuck up before I kill you." And now I'm like, okay, there's something about this man's Jesus and this cross that something. But I didn't register Jesus, Son of Man. I just registered God. And I remember looking at this thing thinking, I'm dreaming. I'm just going to wake up. I'm dreaming. This thing then drools on me drools on me, and the sizzle was so real. And I remember being like, so that's real. And now I'm shaking, I'm terrified. And all I remember thinking is this thing is gonna kill me. And it kept lunging at me, but it was almost like it couldn't. It wanted to kill me. And it was that feeling of like, if I only had my hands on you, I would kill you. But it couldn't get to me. And I remember thinking, God, if you're real, save me. This thing, as soon as I finished this thing torpedoed back into my stomach. It felt like I took the biggest breath of my life. And like, I was so exhausted, stopped fighting. I was ready to go to sleep. Honestly, based off of memory and some of the accounts that I've had with my mother, I probably slept for like on and off for like a week or two. And when I woke up, we went back to the church. Completely different experience. From that point on, 14, 15 years old, I don't need any more proof. God is real. I felt all the differences. I wasn't slitting my wrists. I wasn't popping pills to try to end my life. I wasn't smoking until my brain was so numb. I wasn't like hopping from dude to dude trying to feel something for the first time in my life. I wasn't bashing my head into walls to try to alleviate the pressure. And so that's all I needed. That was an experience enough. God is real. So 17, 18, I started planning. I used to say planning my escape, but really what it was, because there was still domestic violence in the house. There's still so many things. I applied to a school in the city and I got accepted and I ended up moving over there. And it was a little rough because my mom used to say, when you're 18 and you graduated, you can do whatever you want. I turned 18 in March. I turned 18 in March of that year, of course. And then I graduated in May. My graduation party, I couldn't stay for. We did this thing called like senior lock-in or whatever, but basically the seniors stayed in all night long. So I was up until like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And I remember my sister was supposed to take me home and she wasn't taking me home. Didn't know why. All I know is I'm tired. I have work at 4 o'clock and it's 7 o'clock in the morning and I've been up all night for senior lock-in. I want to go home. She takes me home. I shower. And right before all of that, they tell me, oh, surprise, it's graduation party. And I'm like, oh, now I couldn't stay for it. So I was grateful, but not, because it's just like, okay, a party I can't be at. Anyway, I showered, changed, got dressed quickly, jumped back in the car with my sister. She took me to work. So I go to work. What I didn't know is the party was still going on in a not so great way towards the end of the night. I had my whole shift from like 4 to 12. And this job was miserable. The ownership was a spoiled brat. Like his parents spoiled the crap out of him. So he think he owned the place, even though it was really his parents. And he just kind of was thrown into a business that was like the family's or whatever. So he was entitled, arrogant, rude. And now, mind you, I'm 17, 18 years old. I had just graduated high school, whatever. But they had pulled like some stuff. I remember one day my dog ran across the street, got hit by a car, a hit and run, bled out, literally a whole chunk of his head bled out in front of me. And I called them and was like, I can't go. I was so delusional. I said, my dog's sick and I have to take him to the hospital. They told me no. If I don't go to work, I'll get fired. And I remember being a zombie that whole shift. Normally I was happy, bubbly, blah, blah, blah. That I was just like a zombie. Are you okay? How's your dog? He's dead. Like I was like gone emotionally. And then we had prom. They wanted me to work on prom. And I was like, no, I'm not going to work on prom because, you know, the problem, I did salad bar and the other 2 girls were in the high school with me. And so it was like somebody had to work. And I said, hey, listen, I'm not. It's prom. I already bought my dress. No, I'm going, which I should have worked. That prom sucked. But anyway, then fast forward, I'm graduating. They wanted me to come in. So I was like, all right, well, I'm definitely graduating. But they compromised. You go to which is crazy to think that I compromised for a job to go to my own high school graduation. I go to my high school graduation. So they said, if you're not going to work on your graduation, you work the next night. So I was like, okay. And then, so now, mind you, they're throwing this party. And I was like, oh, I can't go, whatever. Go to my shift. I'm tired. I only have my phone, the clothes on my back. That's it. I don't have a charger normally because I had a car at the time that I had worked for. And I didn't have my car keys. I didn't have my keys. I didn't have my wallet. All I had my phone. I didn't even have my charger. Clothes on my back. My mom comes, picks me up. She starts going the opposite way from the house. And I'm like, what are we doing? She's like, oh, we're going to go somewhere about a hotel. And I'm like, I'm going to go home. Fighting me back and forth. And I'm like, Mom, you said when I was 18 and graduated, I can do whatever I want to. I want to go home. And now, mind you, I don't think that's an unreasonable ask. I was filthy. I had no clothes on my back other than the salad bar, dirty, messy clothes that I had. And, because mind you, the kids had just graduated the night before. It was a weekend, so it was pretty busy for that establishment. And so I was dirty. I want to go home. I want to shower. I want to change. No. And I went, yes, I'm going home. You said when I was 18 and graduated, I could do whatever I want to. And she said, as long as you live in my house, my rules. And I snapped. Come to find out later, my parents got into a really big fight. My dad got drunk and tried to brutally assault my mom in front of everybody. And so that's why she left, because my dad was drunk, sleeping it off. Hey, okay, so if you made it this far, you are finished with part 2 of the 4-part series. First of all, God bless you. Thank you. If you hadn't watched the previous one, I recommend it. But if you have watched it, hey, thanks for sticking around, and you're getting to know me little by little. And I think it's going to help for context of what the Lord's bringing me to when you know what the Lord has saved me from, at least just a snapshot. But I'll sign off as sincerely Suriak. Until next time.